Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to our series review, I should say, of Teacup. Yes, this is a show that we all caught wind of just a few months back, and it premiered its first two episodes while at Fantastic Fest. And although we didn't necessarily get to see the episodes at Fantastic Fest during our coverage, we were already linked up and we were given access directly after the festival ended, and not only to those episodes but the full series. So we've been kind of working our way through this. Granted, two episodes have already premiered by the time this review is out, but we have just been so crazy busy with Terrifier 3 and all the other Halloween goodness that is going on this month. So we had to make sure that we took our time, not only because we were needed to get this done for the channel, but because we were actually looking forward to this. And I gotta say, pretty much enjoyed this series a lot, actually. And I did not want to rush it. I definitely wanted to take my time and take this all in, because I think the Teacup is quite an interesting take on some pretty, dare I say, out of this world ideas.
Yes, especially what we've seen already kind of established. I think this one is certainly a unique take, and we had a chance to check out the trailer a little bit early. We had gotten sent that, so we kind of did a reaction to it, and getting both our thoughts there. I think we were rather excited to just see kind of what the hell's going on here with this line, and what does it present, because I think they had done such a good job of concealing really the idea of the story for you to go into this not really knowing what to expect. And as Dylan said, two episodes have already premiered. Looking at that, I think that second episode certainly leaves you off on some sort of cliffhanger. And I got to be honest, I think the rest of the series as well does do that. I think they do a great job of concealing the story up until it's time to tell you exactly what's going on. But then they still breadcrumb you of certain ideas that you're presented with a pretty big narrative, but then you still have questions. And I think that's such a big part of a TV series of keeping you intrigued. And I gotta say, Teacup did that through and through. I did watch this probably within the span of a week, but I was honestly eager to turn on the next episode. But it's also that idea that they give you so much that you kind of just want to let it marinate in your brain for a little bit and kind of just sit with what you had seen. But you're certainly excited to get to that next episode.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit before we hit record here, and just how interesting of a release structure this series is, and I think it's extremely beneficial, because this is definitely something that I think you get a lot more enjoyment out of, kind of binging and kind of getting through rather quickly. And I think the fact that they're not stretching this out over a month or a month and a half and having like a mid-season break and stuff, I think is super beneficial. The fact that this is just through the month of October, and that it by October 31st is the final episodes. I love that. I think that that keeps it contained. I think you said it beforehand that this gives you something to look forward to on a Thursday, that you're getting two episodes per release, and it just gives you so much to chew on. And I think that for a story like this, where again, it's got a lot of really interesting, broad concepts that I would say fall into more of the sci-fi horror realm, that I absolutely loved how they decided to put this out there. And yeah, we pretty much stayed faithful to it. I know we got to finish it really early and we got to watch it in quick succession. But yeah, if we hadn't had Terrifier 3 fall into our laps, as far as just like getting the screener and getting to, having to derail that and get into it, I think I would have probably watched this in a span of two episode sittings throughout the week. So I think the last day we watched the last three episodes, and that was the only time we did that. So two episodes a week, I like that schedule.
It's very easy to get hooked on this show, just because the presentation in itself, and yes, the sci-fi horror elements are definitely interesting. In when they're presenting this idea to you, but also just kind of the social things that are going on in terms of the families that are secluded to this kind of not stepping over the line, I guess, and what is going on there. I think there's a lot of great acting. There's a lot of great relationships going on and some tension that's going on as that story unfolds as well. So that keeps you intrigued as well as we're melding in this kind of science fiction horror element into the story as well and see what exactly is going on. I'll say that first episode really does kind of open up so many question marks, and then as we get into the conclusion of that second episode, it's like, oh my gosh, what in the hell is going on here? And then once you kind of get it all laid out for you, I think it's something where, sometimes when you lay out a hefty narrative, sometimes it's a little eye rolling, doesn't feel as natural. But there's an episode in here where we kind of dive into a backstory and exactly what's going on, and kind of get into that connective tissue, I guess you'd say. And it's rather interesting just from the way it's presented, from the characters that we're dealing with and we're on the ride for as we're learning about the scenario that is going down. I think it is just so well crafted to keep your interest, and like Dylan had mentioned, this being released once or two episodes weekly. This is something, if I hadn't had this all laid out for me, I would just be anticipating Thursdays, because they do keep up that intrigue of what is going on. And as they end, they know exactly when to end an episode in terms of that storytelling and get you excited for that next one.
Yes, and they also have a lot of really, awesome deep cut needle drops, which I appreciate quite a bit. Lots of good songs that are making it into my rotation here. But beyond that, yeah, you mentioned the cast in here. There's a lot of standouts for me. Personally, I gotta say, I think I'm gonna give the biggest award or biggest praise to the actor. He's a younger actor, Jackson Kelly, who plays Travis in here. I hadn't seen him. Apparently, he was in. Just looking at this now, he was in the last season of Chucky, but I had not seen that season yet. I Okay, he was in VHS 99, so I've seen him in something, but he was new to me, and I got to say, I really really loved his character of he plays Travis, who you see in this story, and I thought he was excellent. I really liked kind of the dynamic that he brought to it. He is kind of for a little while almost like a surrogate for us as the audience, getting fed information, but it doesn't feel like too exposition heavy. It feels very natural. As Travis gets bought into some ideas and some concepts, we are as well. And I just felt like the dynamic between him and some of the other actors he interacts with, just to keep it vague, were just really, really on point. I enjoyed his performance through and through.
And that's where, as you mentioned, the character of Travis, I'll kind of go his partner in crime, maybe, if you want to say. I'm not sure. Played by Rob Morgan. His name's McNabb. As you see him pop up throughout the series as well. I think those two playing off each other, and then we also have a third character in there in terms of kind of learning a backstory. I think it's so well done. Those characters are so well developed in terms of kind of understanding the dynamic between them all. I think it was so well crafted to use them the way that they did, and kind of feeling like you're part of that group, and where they go. And I think it's so intriguing from a character standpoint that each of these characters kind of have their own moments. They all have their own
Yes.
stories that are going on, because just because of this elements that's been dropped upon them, they already had a bunch of stuff going on. And I think that's such a intriguing standpoint here. Sometimes characters feel a little hollow. They don't have enough going on. They don't feel lived in any sense, where we're really just dealing with the issue at hand, but you're kind of, piling on a bunch of issues with these characters. So it just feels like you're really stacking the deck, and there are a lot of stakes going on. So I think that really will resonate with an audience, because there's some sense of relatability with some of these characters that are going on here, because they're on a farm. This is kind of a relatable instance, I think. Not necessarily, when we get into sci-fi elements, but those things, I think, it's a rather interesting element to see these characters that you could see at the supermarket or that you could know in your personal life, and then kind of add in this science fiction horror element to it. I think that's such great storytelling because there is this character arc for a lot of these characters that are going on, and in addition to what we're seeing, this kind of outside force, I guess you'd say. So, for me, I resonated heavily with a lot of these characters just because I think the character work here is really great.
I agree, and, I think that the whole cast here really does a fantastic job. I mean, Scott Speedman is somebody that we praised a lot,
He
uh,
can't catch a
for
break.
The Strangers. Yeah, seriously can't, but we loved him a lot in this. I thought that his character, goes through a lot, and has some ups and downs with the audience that are really great and entertaining. My wife watched this with me, and they said that they, enjoyed all of the sci-fi stuff and all of the horror elements, but also really enjoyed kind of the interpersonal dramas that were going on too. It was weird because, like, it's nothing, I guess, out of the box or too hardcore or anything, but it's just enough to keep
The
you.
presentation, I think, is really what it
Yes.
is.
Yes, it's all done really well. Maggie is also fantastic.
Great.
Yeah, she was absolutely wonderful as our lead. I adored her performance. She's somebody you can get behind. Really, I think the best thing I can say about Teacup, to kind of sum up my feelings about it and just to really convince you to sit down and give this thing a chance, is this is, by definition, by presentation, by all facets of it, the best Stephen King story not written by Stephen King. It feels like it. It has those tones. It definitely is in his wheelhouse. I absolutely adored it. And yeah, I thought this was a very good series. So, my heart of hearts, I'm going to say, I'm going to give Teacup a recommend. I think that this is something you should make some time for. It's very interesting. I'd love to see it, continue on. If they're going to do multiple seasons, we don't know. But this is something that I think Peacock should definitely be pushing because I think they got a winner here.
Yes, certainly. Certainly doubling down on those King elements. They were able to capture that vibe, I guess, and really present it in a natural way. So I would second that as well. It does really feel King-esque in a sense. From a character standpoint, I think there's a lot of great stuff going on here. Like I said, I think you'll resonate with some of these characters and what is going on with them. The sci-fi element here is just phenomenal. I like their take on this, and as you get to actually go throughout weekly with this series and really understand what story they're telling and kind of the creative spin that they've put on it. I think a lot of people will appreciate that. And then, as we've seen with if you've seen the ending of episode 2, there's some interesting gore going on here as well. It's not overabundance, but when they use it, I think they do make it count. There's some jarring imagery in here as well. So I think this is a series that really has a handle on itself and really knows where it wants to go in terms of that storytelling. So for me, this is an easy recommend as well. With throughout the month of October here, make sure you sit down Thursday nights. This is something where I could say, if you're not subscribed to Peacock, I already am. But if you're not, I think it would be worth at least a monthly subscription for the month of October to check out Teacup, because I think the storytelling here is on point and you're not going to regret it. So definitely make some time on Thursdays. Check out the 2 episodes that do drop, because I think you're going to have a lot of fun here.
I agree. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's going to wrap us up here for our thoughts on Teacup. Let us know if you're checking this out. Definitely a winner here for Peacock, something they should be proud to add to their catalog. They're doing a good job with their horror over there. We got to say, Hulu, Peacock, they seem to have a good handle on things when it comes to horror television. So, other than that, we got a lot of great stuff up on the channel. As we said, lots of Terrifier 3 coverage over the weekend here. Lots of fun stuff with that. We also got to check out the latest short film from Dave McCrae. It's Me, Billy 2. So, all of that there for your viewing pleasure. And yeah, we have lots more to come. So, definitely stick with us here, and we will catch you next time. So, until then, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the horror shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna smash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna smash your ass.